Welcome, welcome, viewing several once again to my little series I like to call Hands Up, Who Loves a Train Set? Me! Right, today I've got my first Fleischmann set, and this, interestingly enough, is from the late 70s, I think. Bought it quite cheaply, about 25 quid. Engine was seized up, but it's now running very nicely. So what I'm going to do is, what's interesting about this is a West German made set, and we've already looked at a similar set made in the East German state, so by Pico. So this is kind of like the equivalent starter set that would have been available in West Germany. It's less inspiring in some ways because the box is very boring, like a lot of these boxes from the 70s. They just had a window in which is now missing, so I may choose to repair that. I'll probably just stick a piece of cardboard in for now, stop the stuff coming out when I'm storing it. But yeah, these boxes aren't that exciting, are they? But it's what you see is what you get. So we will have a look. We can already see what's in the box. So when we move on to the next section, we'll just have a better, a more detailed look at it. So yeah, I thought that Fleischmann was like the top end, because the ones you see now, they're very expensive and they do seem to be very high quality. But this is going back a few years, so this is no more special than any other type of set at this time. It doesn't say it's certainly HO gauge track. But the models themselves do seem a little bit small. Not that I'm complaining, because I do rather like that, because I do like this size. This is a lovely little size. This track, they do a smaller radius, I think, or they used to, but this one will fit on this desk, so we can set it up on here and we can see what it looks like, and we can use the controller that come with it. I'm doing this after I've done the filming of it running, so I know that it works. And the reason I do that sometimes is because when I get one that's a non-runner, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it working. So what I do is I get it working. I sometimes film some of that, sometimes I can't be bothered. So in this case, I got it running smooth, and I set it up and it was all working. So I film that bit first, and I come back and I film this bit. So there's not much else to say really. The box is in pretty poor condition. You can see on here that it tells you the set, what track you get. Shows you it's kind of silhouette. There's really not very much. I think if you turn the box around, you get a couple of bits of information about the track that you can extend. But yeah, it's quite basic. It tells you there's a station set and various other things. So I think the set de triage is probably the sidings. So it's in German and French. So they obviously sold this mostly in West Germany and in France. But yeah, it's not a bad little set, and I'm quite happy for what I paid. So I think what we'll do now is we'll have a little bit more of a detailed look inside the box, see what's in it. Right, looking inside the box then. Ooh, we'll just have a quick look first at the track. Now the track, I've just cleaned it. It's a radius. It says on it. It says, there you can see that, Fleischmann. I think it's radius 375. I think 6024 is the code. I got a feeling they do a smaller one than that. They used to, but they don't make any more. And I tried to get some over the years, but not found any available. But I think there is I think there's a radius 0 that they do that is actually smaller than that. Now this locomotive is called Anna. There's quite a few 040 tank locos called Anna. and I think one of my HO scale ones, HOE scale narrow gauge ones, is similar looking thing, and it's called Anna. It's a plastic body, but inside that's all metal. That chassis, that's a red bit is metal, and then there's a big bit that fits almost the size of the inside of the plastic body, including a bit that goes up into this pressure dome thing, and it's all made of die cast, but I don't know how you separate those two. I took the lid off and I pulled the motor out. I've oiled everything, and oiled all of the all the bits you want to oil, all the bearings and those rods and everything, and the broken coupling, you need to separate the red and black parts of the chassis. I don't really know how to do that, and I'm not even going to try, but it's got a coupling on the rear. You can get these couplings and they're really cheap. They do them, I think Gauge Master have got them for like under £3, but I don't really know how I'm going to fit it. I don't want to fiddle about. I think that's fine for me, just to run it forwards. And these carriages, well, these are very basic, so I'm going to compare this now to the Pico one, and you'll notice they aren't the same size. I'm assuming this is HO. It doesn't say on the box, but you know, it's HO gauge track, so I don't know whether it's a slightly smaller scale. It is very small, but it's lovely because it's nice and dinky. Now the Pico ones have got some interior, and they do seem to be a better, heavier quality. These are very, very basic, but they've got some nice bits of printing on them, you know. Very basic, but you know, can't really complain. Pretty nice. And then the controller, I am going to set it up with this track because this will fit on the desk, and this controller does work. It's a little bit stiff, but it is loosening up now. I've been using it, so it may just need some use. So I could take the knob off and try and spray some contact cleaner, but to be honest with you, I don't really want to be opening up old equipment that runs on the mains. It does work, it is safe, it's fine. I've tested it, the AC output and the DC for the track, all seems good. So yeah, there's not much else to say other than it's a nice set. It's not as, I mean, it's a little bit uninspiring packaging wise, but then a lot of the sets were horrible boxes like this in the 70s. So yeah, I just, it's a shame because I do really enjoy a nice box art on a train set, and it's a shame we don't really have that so much anymore. They kind of seem to, sometime in the 70s it seemed to all go to this kind of thing, and although they've brought some box art back, it's a lot of it's CGI and it's not always very inspiring. But you know, this is a pretty good set, and I've got it running nicely. I ran it earlier because I wanted to check that it would actually run, because this was pretty seized up, but it's just because it hasn't been run for so long. I think the seller said it had been in the loft since the 80s, so the fact that it does run and runs well now, I'm pretty pleased with. So I think we'll just get it set up, or we'll cut to the bit where I did set it up and show you it running. Right, here we are on the track. Because it's a nice, when these things are nice runners, what I like to do is start the loco off separate and pick up the train. So I am going to do that now. So we'll start her off and bring her around, and then we'll couple up. As I say, this was seized up because it had been unused for decades. It's now running pretty nicely. I think I'm going to I might have to give it an assist by hand to couple properly. But let's try it. Okay, that seems satisfactory. So we'll set off. at a nice slow pace. It will run quite slow, this. We'll see how slow presently, but for now we're just going to run round, slowly build up to full speed, as we always do. So yeah, this controller I'm using, this is the one that come with it. It's a little bit stiff, but it does work. The track is the track that came in the set, and it fits on this desk, which is nice. So I don't always get to use the controller and the track. I sometimes can't use the track because it's too big or it's too warped, and sometimes I can't use the controller because you don't always get one in some of the older sets. So this is quite a nice set. So this is interesting because this is very similar. It's the West German equivalent of the East German Pico Junior set that I showed you a couple of episodes ago, which is similarly a steam 040 tank locomotive and two of these green splendid carriages. I'd say there's probably not much in it between them in terms of quality. I think maybe this Fleischmann locomotive is slightly better because it's got a lot of metal in it. It's very heavy. Once I gave it a bit of an oil, it's pretty good. But I mean, the Pico one ran perfectly well as well. I think this track is more conventional. The Pico's stuff was that hollow stuff, but it clips together really well, and it's kept its shape. So, but given the age of these sets, they're both probably late 70s. One could have been used more than the other, and you can't really tell at this now what's happened to both of them over the years. But I'd say they're both really nice sets, and they both run really well. So I'm going to speed this up now. You did get that horrible cheap speed controller in the Pico Junior set, which I didn't use, if you remember, which you were supposed to use with two 4.5-volt batteries. So there we go. That's unrealistic rocket speed, but it's nice to know that it's there. So we're coming down, and then we're going to go, we'll see how slow it'll go. Yeah, I mean that's pretty nice, I'd say. Another really nice little set, this. And another set that I paid around 25 quid for, same as I think I paid 22 for the Pico Junior one, and I think I paid 26 for this one. So at those sort of prices, I'm really pleased to get these in my collection, and because it fits on here, I can set it up every now and again and have a play with it, you know, so that's pretty cool. For me, I think, given I do like bigger gauges, I like all the gauges, as you've probably seen from my channel, but this one's kind of nice and dinky. It's almost, because it's HO, it's a little bit smaller, and but it's big enough, and so I kind of like HO and HOE, which is the narrow gauge, and I also like the old TT, because that's 1 to 100 roughly, 3mm scale, and that one is also a really good desktop type of scale. I think if I get a bigger space to put things in, 00 gauge is obviously my first love, because that's what I had as a kid. But I must say I do enjoy these HO layouts, because very often they will fit on my desk, and they're just, look how dinky that is compared to, it's a lot smaller than a Hornby 040, and those coaches are sort of longer, but they're similar size to the Hornby 4-wheel coach, but they're actually prototypical, so you know, if you've got limited space, this sort of set is actually really good. I think if what you're really worried about is just running trains, I'm not looking with any of this kind of stuff to build an accurate layout. I like having these to just run and play with. I am building layouts, but they take a lot longer to build. So in the meantime, or when I just got a bit of spare time, it's nice to have something like this to just play with. So we'll speed her up again, and we'll sign off and say, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is another great set, another great find. It's my first Fleischmann, so there's a few more to do in my collection, so it's not going to be quite the end of the series yet. I've still got some Hornby sets, so I do want to do one or two of those. I'm not going to do them all because you probably know that most Hornby sets, they just come with a third radius track, and over the years they've basically a lot of the same stuff but with slightly different liveries and slightly different wagons. So I'll just do one example, and I'm going to have a look at one of the other. I think I might have a look at I recently got a Blue Rapier Javelin set, which is the first kind of long train that I've got. I won't be able to demo that here, but I will do that at some point. I'll have to find somewhere, maybe on the floor in the living room, or outside, but it's getting a bit less likely that'll happen outside now because of the weather and the light. But I've also pre-ordered a couple of things. I pre-ordered the TT gauge little 040 goods set, the TT120, so when that comes I'll be taking a look at that. I couldn't resist that. I think I might end up paying more for it because it's gone up in price since I pre-ordered it, but we'll see how we go with that. But there's a couple of other little things I've got my eye on. I never did get my Trix Twin. The seller just disappeared. But I'm off to the Great Electric Train Show this weekend, so I'm on the lookout for a few things. I'm on the lookout for some through the parts bins to see if I can get some bits to complete some of the sets in my collection that have got missing parts. And I'll see if they've got any sets, because, you know, I like collecting sets, as you know. So there we go. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.